Okay, now we're going to make a snowflake with our text tool and our rotation tool. So you see them highlighted up here. I highlighted that this is our text tool and this is our rotation tool. So you grab your text tool and you go ahead and type a name. And for me, I'm going to be typing Frida Kahlo because she's the one that I worked with earlier in our assignment. So I'm going to highlight it all and I can come over and I can change the font over here in my properties section. So you can highlight the font, and my computer is running a little slow right now. So let's see what's happening. It's spinning. Okay, so this will allow me to now bring in whatever font that I want to work with. So you can go ahead and highlight all the different fonts that you want to work with. I'm going to pick a thicker font. Now that I've done that, I can then highlight each individual letter and change the color to make it a little bit more interesting. I'm using my laptop, so this is acting very sensitive because what's happening is my computer is being fixed right now. Well, my teacher computer is being used for my new room. So I'm going in there and I'm just highlighting each individual letter and changing its color so that it makes for a better design as we're going through. So you guys don't have to use the same color. You don't have to use the same name. You can use whatever you'd like. Yes, black is a color, so I'm going to leave black there on that one as well. So it shouldn't take this long for you. I'm working on a laptop that is slow, and I'm using a mouse pad rather than a mouse, which is slowing me down because I am not as familiar with a trackpad than an actual mouse. So bearing with me, I've gotten through almost all my letters, and I try to stay consistent. So when I create a pattern, you want to stay with the pattern. So I created a pattern of how I colored them with the letters, and I made sure that both names are then with that color. So I used my selection tool now, and now my text is selected, the whole thing. And I'm gonna click on my rotation tool. So this is the one that has a circle with an arrow at the end of it. So it shows that it's being rotated. I'm gonna click my alt click to the end of where the F is. And when you alt click, it brings up the dialog box. And now I can enter my degrees. For this first one, you're going to start with 10 degrees. You can click on the preview so you can see how it's going to actually rotate a little bit. And we're trying to make a snowflake, so we don't want to just rotate it 10 degrees. We want to make sure that it's a copy. So when we do copy, it will make a copy of that last file, and it rotated it 10 degrees. I don't want to continually click in one area and then try to make sure that it's aligned right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the last move. My favorite keyboard shortcut is Ctrl D, which repeats your last move. My last move was rotating the text 10 degrees. So it's going to rotate it an additional 10 degrees and keep on going. And once I click Ctrl D 35 times, it makes a complete circle with my text. So I kind of like that. I'm going to click on my text again. I'm just copy that and go to my next artboard. So here's my properties. Let me let go, and I can actually go to my next artboard here in my properties palette, property palette 2, and I'm going to paste this into my next artboard. And when I come over, if you don't like the angle, you could double click on it, select all and copy, delete it, and then you can just click on the text tool and paste it. So it makes it straight again and it pastes the exact same text one more time. So here's Frida Kahlo, and now I'm going to do 20 degrees. Now I'm going to use the rotation tool, and rather than having it start with the F at the end, I'm going to go inward, and it's going to alt click more or less between the I and the D, and I'm going to do a 15-degree angle, and we're going to say copy, and then we're going to do Ctrl D. So this gives it a whole new pattern. Ctrl D. And it gives it a new pattern because it gives it a new center, which gives it a new design. Let's go ahead and go to our next page. Let me go to my next artboard. By deselecting, I can actually go to my next artboard. Really? There's my next artboard. Let me go and paste. And there's my Frida Kahlo text again. Now we did 10, 15, so the next is going to be 20. Let's go ahead and use the rotation tool and alt click more or less so that we have a space in the middle. So I'm going to alt click here. I'm going to say 20 degrees and go copy and Control D all the way around. And it makes for a different kind of snowflake. I do like this pattern. It just has a hole in the middle. So let's go to our page 4, artboard. Let me let go and go to artboard 4. And with artboard 4, I'm going to paste the text again. And this is going to be a degrees of 30. So I'm going to actually go in between the two names and do an alt click and then say 30 degrees and copy. And here's how this style is going to then Control D, Control D, Control D, which gives it a whole different kind of like, since I did only half, you have a different pattern on the bottom than you do on the top. So let me let go. And let's go to our final artboard, which is 5. And our final artboard is going to be a 45-degree snowflake. So let me paste our text. Click on the alt, and let's see where we want this one to then be. Let's go a little bit farther out again. Alt click and 45 degrees and go copy. Oh, it didn't do anything. Sorry, I didn't have it selected. That was my fault. It's fun when your teacher does a mistake and it's videotaped. So yes, that happens and it's okay. So alt click, 45 degrees and a copy, and rotate, rotate, rotate. So I do like the way that one came out. It's very spaced. Let me center it now that it's selected. I'm going to go to my previous page. Let's go to previous page, page 4. Let's grab that snowflake, copy, and let's go back to page 5 and paste it. So now we have those two interacting together. I'm going to make it bigger by pulling on the edges. Really. And then you just move it so that it's centered. So it looks like more of a snowflake with the different sizes. I do like the color theme. I think it works with the Frida Kahlo. She used a lot of vibrant colors. I do like the way it's changed up. We can actually select all of it and then go to our, see, this is impact font, and we can then go and just click up and down within that font area, and you could change the actual font, and it gives it a whole new style by the different fonts that you're working with. So experiment with this project. Use different names, use different colors, combine 2 of the different degrees so it comes up with something new. Make sure that you do a file save as. So we're going to make sure that we save it to the desktop like we always do. Save it as an Illustrator EPS. Make sure you rename it to the period that you're supposed to be in. So I'm going to use period 2.